STEMology, the Young Scientist Survival Guide, Session Number 8. Hi again, Alina Adams here, and you're listening to the STEMology podcast, where my main goal is to introduce you to the many different aspects of STEM while providing you with a community of like-minded young scientists, all dedicated to promoting success and building your confidence in your future. And that includes the exploration of different social groups outside of your own to really challenge your grasp on cultural competency. The best way I can think to do that is to engage with members from other groups, which is why I'm very pleased to introduce two classmates of mine, Camilla Aponte and Maya Lee. So, Camilla, Maya, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hello everyone, I am Camilla. I am a third-year student here at UMKC, majoring in chemistry with a minor in business and biology. Currently on the pre-med track, along with Alina, I'm also in the process of studying for the MCAT and getting ready for medical school applications.
Hey guys, thank you for having me first of all. My name is Maya Lee and I'm currently a junior majoring in chemistry and minoring in psychology and business at UMKC. A little background about me is I came to the U.S. from Vietnam about 10 years ago. At first, like Alina and Camilla, I wanted to enter the medicine field, but after 2 years of shadowing professionals in the medical field, I realized that medicine isn't for me. So I switched over to business because I found that the management, finance, and economic side of business fit my personality better. So after I graduate, I will pursue a career in real estate.
That's awesome. It's really important to find where you fit in, so I'm glad you were able to figure out early that medicine wasn't for you. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I am a Black female, 22 years old, and I know you've already heard a little background on me, but I am a biology major with a chemistry minor. Pretty much always flirted with the idea of becoming a physician, but it wasn't until I was a junior in high school that I started to really gather up the facts and put all of my energy towards becoming a doctor. I have a really strong passion for people, especially people in need, and science, of course, and something that's always been important to me is the community, especially in terms of serving underrepresented communities. So that's one of the many reasons that we're diving into the subject today. I think it's very important for people like ourselves as STEM majors who dedicate their careers to the betterment of society to understand and be able to relate to that society that they're a part of and all of its people. All right, I am so excited you ladies decided to take a study break and come join me today. As I mentioned before, I wanted to lightly talk about minorities, or a very specific minority in STEM, which is women of color. Diversity in any capacity, STEM or otherwise, is incredibly important to the growth of a community, and I'm very proud to be one. So, let's talk about the first time we noticed a woman of color in a position of authority and what it meant to you as a young woman seeing her doing her thing in the professional world.
Well, personally, I actually attended a high school that was majority white students, and the majority of my professors and extracurricular leaders were also white, and so I didn't have a lot of minority role models. It wasn't actually until I began going to college and interview opportunities and internship opportunities where I kind of noticed, women of color can be in a position of respect and power. As a Hispanic American coming from a Colombian family, after doing an internship this summer down in El Paso where I got to see female leaders who were Hispanic in amazing positions, it really made me realize, hey, it is something that's possible. These women did it. They are super cool, super eloquent, very badass, if I may say, and it kind of made me want to be that.
Yes, professional women are very badass, as you say. Maya, what about you?
Yeah, so I came here and I went to a high school where minorities were the majorities. So minorities on top of minorities, I must say. So it was mostly Black students and only 2 Asians there, and I was one of them. So I didn't have that kind of minority role models in high school, but when I entered college, I kind of see my professors who were the minorities, and I saw a lot of Asian professors. So that was really motivating to me. And also I look up to Michelle Obama and Oprah whenever I need some motivation to study or, trying to get up in the morning.
Yes.
so
those are awesome.
They are my role models. Yes.
That's awesome. I was wondering about your community. You said that you were one of 2 Asians, so what was that like growing up?
So English is my second language, and so that was kind of hard to speak with other people while I was trying to learn English at the time. So it was kind of cool trying to, enter myself in the community.
Yeah, man, you got a bunch of culture all at once then, growing up.
Yeah, diversity.
That's what it's all about. So the earliest member that I have is my pediatrician, Dr. Jacobs, like way back when. She was so brilliant and genuine person. Like, she really made me feel like her only patient. I know she left a major influence on me, not just in the way of the career path that I chose, but she demonstrated to me the kind of woman that I wanted to become. And I am always trying to reach that level of boss lady. Have either of you ever experienced a time when you felt like you had to work a little harder to be heard?
Okay, so I can personally say I've experienced people not quite taking me seriously because of my physical appearance. Whether this be because I am a small woman or because of my ethnicity, I can't really tell you. But it does make me feel kind of like I have to work a little harder to prove my abilities, to prove my worth. Not that they will very willingly admit that they are kind of disregarding your abilities, but
it's probably even subconscious a little bit too.
It is a little subconscious, I will admit that. And so it just pushes me to want to prove myself as a person and prove that I am capable of things they probably didn't think I could tell.
Yeah, that's so important to like put yourself out there. It's harder because you do have to put yourself out there more. I mean, it's worth it, and it matters a lot more because you also have to think about the little girls that are looking up to you now, the position you are in and how you got there. So what about you, Mai? Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Kind of, because like Camilla, I am a smaller person too. So, and I also have a soft voice. So whenever I need to speak up, I have to really work for it. But my peers around me are really supportive. So it's not really a problem for me.
Honestly, I'm glad you brought that up, Camilla, because I never really thought about physical appearance being a factor, which is crazy because I'm almost 6 feet tall. So you would think that that's something that would pop into my head. But always being like a big person, I never really thought of like size as a factor of people taking you seriously or not. So I'm glad you brought that up. So when you are presented with instances where you feel ignored or kind of less than, how do you react to that?
I think initially we all want to kind of prove ourselves and kind of prove them wrong in a way. And sometimes that can kind of get us into a form of competitive nature where we just want to give it our all. And I think sometimes you just kind of have to step back, reevaluate if the situation is worth investing your time and energy into proving a point. And the majority of the time, if it's for your own comfort, for your own confidence level, I say go for it. Give a little extra effort, go the extra mile, prove to people that you're capable of many things.
Yeah, so for me, I always try my best. Fighting for it is one of my motto. So it's not really a problem.
I probably almost enjoy it. Kind of almost enjoy like putting yourself out there and proving what you got and what you can do, especially when people consider you the underdog in a lot of situations. So there are always instances in maybe all of our areas of life, not just STEM, but I feel like we as women do have to try a little harder to be seen and heard. So let's talk about family. I know when students choose STEM, particularly when women choose STEM, they have a lot of support from their families because it's a difficult path and they're pretty proud of you. So what are a few of your best mom and dad encouragement quotes?
Well, for me, my parents don't really know much about the STEM field. They just knew that I was going to the medical field, and they didn't know much about chemistry. But they were still supportive. They said that to try my best at it, even though they don't even know what I'm doing in chemistry.
Yeah.
They still supportive. Yeah, they're really supportive because I am also a first-gen student too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that having a strong support system with your family is important. I think one of my favorite quotes in terms of being a STEM major is something my mom usually tells me, and neither of my parents are in a STEM-related field, but you will inevitably face moments when you're very stressed, when you feel the situation is out of your hands. What my mom always tells me is, hey, you need to recognize what you have the capability to change, what you have the power over to ultimately give you a different result, and realize what you can't change. What you can change, you gotta let go. Out of sight, out of mind, and kind of just put things, I don't know if you're religious or not, kind of just put things into a greater power that things will result the way they should. Know what you can control, whether that's studying more, whether that's investing yourself more into bettering yourself as a person. Work on that, but don't stress over the little things that you have no effect
Yes, preach, because I can't tell you how many hours I've probably wasted worrying about things that I honestly just can't do anything about. Usually it's like after the fact when I could have done something about it, like I could have studied more, and then I get my grade back and I'm like, ugh, why? Like, this is terrible. So, yeah, that's really good advice. My parents have never really babied me, so when it came to uplifting me, my parents would definitely hear what I have to complain about. They'd listen. And then my mom especially would list everything that I've already overcome, and then she would compare it to whatever I'm currently worried about. And then after she does that, I kind of reflect back and I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's not that bad in the scheme of things. And then I kind of start reflecting about what's actually important, and it puts everything in perspective. Now, my dad, he takes more of an analytical approach to it, and he really breaks down my worries to prove to me that they're actually not worth my time at all, and I have nothing to worry about. So he would always say, after I would spend like 5 minutes crying to the phone, he'd say, so what are you going to do about it? And I can't like sit there on the phone with my dad and be like, well, I really like just sitting here and crying about it, you know? So then, of course, I like think of an answer. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see, what can I actually do about it? And sometimes, like you said, there's really nothing you can do about it. You just have to move on. Or you figure out a way to do better next time, or pick yourself up so that you can stop stressing about it at least. And so let's just say I really, really appreciate that and love that about my parents. So shout out Mom and Dad. There have been so many women in history that have had a major impact on our lives today. So I kind of wanted to zero in on a couple of our women in STEM idols. Mai, do you have a STEM woman that you look up to?
Yes, I do, Alina. So I look up to Marie Curie in STEM because growing up in Vietnam, I heard of her name a lot. And also, there's a popular high school in Ho Chi Minh City that's named after her. But I didn't know anything about Marie Curie until I started studying STEM over here. And I learned that she is a French physicist who's really famous for her work in radioactivity. In addition, I really admired the fact that she's the first woman to win a Nobel Prize and is the only woman to win the award in 2 different fields, which was physics and chemistry.
Wow, that is impressive.
I personally look up to a Chinese researcher by the name of Tu Yu, and Professor Yu has been studying traditional Chinese medicine. This is something that caught my attention because I've always been very focused on taking aspects of nature and seeing what they can do in the medical world. And what she was doing was she noticed that the sweet wormwood substance called artemisinin could actually be used to treat malaria. It had initially been used as a treatment for fever, but after researching this more and studying more, she realized that, hey, this could have a bigger impact. And now this substance is actually used as a inhibitor for the malaria parasite. She won a Nobel Prize for this. She saved countless lives, obviously, with this new substance that has been implemented into medications. And I just truly admire her for being able to discover this from a substance that existed in nature and was overlooked for so long.
That's awesome, man. So how long have you been following her career?
I actually more recently found her. This is something I've kind of discovered through university studies. Unfortunately, I think in previous years, I didn't really give myself the time to admire women in STEM, which is something we all need to do more of. But if you ever have the chance to check her out or just research a scientist, a woman in STEM that interests you, I think more people should do that because they're really great role models.
So true, because we don't really set out to find these women, The reason I found mine was because of the 2016 film Hidden Figures, where it recounts the NASA careers of Mary Jackson, Katherine Johnson, and Dorothy Vaughan. More specifically, their work on Project Mercury, so during the space race. I remember the first time I learned about Mary Jackson, and it was huge for me, because before that, I didn't know the role women played in mathematics in history, especially Black women. But to learn that a woman held such a crucial role in a national organization like NASA, no less, made me feel like I couldn't wait to make my own mark on the world. So, as we wrap up here, is there any piece of advice or encouragement you would tell your younger freshman self as she starts the journey that you're on today?
I definitely do. I would tell freshman Mai to calm down because I remember those days where I just stayed up till 2 or 3 in the morning just thinking about the path that I'm going to. Just calm down. You'll figure it out. And also, don't be afraid to change your path if it doesn't fit you. It's okay to change, and it's never too late.
That's excellent advice.
I personally would tell freshman Camilla, well, there are a lot of things I would tell her, but I think primarily I would focus on worry about yourself and only yourself. Sometimes you get into the tendency to worry about what others might think, how you compare yourself to others, especially in a STEM field. You will be comparing yourself to others a lot. Who got a better grade, who's the better student, who's more involved, and that can be a very toxic mentality.
That is so true.
I would tell freshman me, hey, you need to worry about being the best person you can be. Do not compare yourself to others. If you know at the end of the day that you gave 110% effort, then you're on the right path.
Not even just STEM women need to hear that, but everybody, because I feel like we're in a culture now where it's almost expected that you compare yourself to people around you. I remember seeing a post on Instagram yesterday, and it was like, wow, I'm seeing all these pretty girls. And then under the quote, it was like, just because someone else is pretty doesn't mean that you're not. It doesn't take away from you or what you have. And that is a huge lesson for women of everywhere. Now for me, I would tell her, little Alina, I would say, first of all, drink some freaking water, please. Jeez. And secondly, I would ask her to stay true to herself and her character. I would tell her to work hard and practice doing what you must do instead of what you want to do. And lastly, I'd tell her that it's fine to acknowledge what struggles are going on in your life, work, family, whatever it is. Yes, because it's important to be in touch with your emotions, but mostly just to keep your mind on your goals and what's important to you foremost. At least for these 4 years in undergrad, you are allowed to be a little selfish with your time and energy, and I think it would have probably changed the game for me to know that. I let myself be distracted and pulled in so many different directions back then when I first started college, and none of it even mattered in the long run, so I would definitely tell my younger self to just focus and stay in your lane. Any last notes, ladies?
Just keep pushing. STEM is hard, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. If you're passionate about it, it truly is worth the journey.
You got this. We're in this together. You got this. It's okay.
This was so much fun. It's great getting to know you both a little. Thank you so much for coming and, letting me pry into your lives a little bit.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us too.
I think it's very important that women know that a strong woman can save herself and no prince necessary. On the next episode of STEMology, we will discuss our personal social media presence, what it means to use social media responsibly, and in a way that will benefit your future self. If you enjoyed our talk today, subscribe to hear more. Find me on Twitter at STEMologyYSSG, Facebook, and YouTube. And of course, you can always contact me at STEMologyYSSG@gmail.com for any questions you may have and would like me to answer in the podcast. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And again, thank you all for listening to our 8th episode of STEMology, a young scientist survival guide. Tune in with me, Alina Adams, for episode 9, Let's Talk Socials. See you next time.